It's Leanna George with By George Organizing. I am a professional organizer and here to help you with your Christmas preparations. We are in the midst of the 12 days of Christmas prep, and today we are going to be talking about the Christmas card send out. Yes, that very fun task that we sometimes enjoy and we sometimes don't. So we're going to talk about how we can make it a little bit easier and less stressful for you this holiday season. Now, if you're just joining me, today is the first day. Welcome. I'm so excited you're here. I'm a professional organizer, and I created this 12-day Facebook Live series to help you not be so overwhelmed with the preparations that come along with the holiday season. And I just, like I do with my business, I want to just help bring order and peace and joy into your life this holiday season, as well as your home and your spaces. And so we have been going through, we've done 6 days so far. We talked about priorities on day 1. We talked about planning and using a planner to keep everything in one place on day 2. On day 3, we talked about all those wonderful holiday decorations, getting them out and purging through them and searching through them. On day 4, we talked about getting ready for the gift shopping part of Christmas. On day 5, we talked about the importance of being refreshed and rested so you can be the best you this entire month, because yes, it's exactly 4 weeks from today. So we want to get through the next 4 weeks, and we can do that by being refreshed and take time for ourselves during this holiday season. And then yesterday we talked about gift wrapping, how to become a gift wrapping ninja. So if you missed any of the videos, feel free to visit my business page on Facebook by George Organizing Solutions, and under the videos tab you can catch up on what you might have missed. So let's get started with today, what we're going to be talking about, and that is, like I said, Christmas cards. Now, I'm going to be honest with you, Christmas cards are my least favorite part of Christmas. And that's been about the last 5 years or so that I felt that way. I used to do really intricate, detailed, extravagant Christmas cards, especially when we were living overseas and I had a lot of time. It was something fun to do. I really enjoyed that. But in the last 5 years, hi Amy, happy Sunday to you. In the last 5 years, I have not felt so entitled to do Christmas cards. And in fact, I didn't do any last year and I didn't do any in 2011. So I've kind of steered off the Christmas card thing. But that doesn't mean that I'm totally against it, because I'm not. I may break them out this year. I haven't decided yet or not. But I know that there are some people who love to do them. So I want to talk to you about them, whether you love to do them or not. If you choose to send them out, I want to give you some tips to help make it easier. Now, the first tip that I want to give you about making Christmas cards or sending out Christmas cards is to determine why you're sending them. And basically, it comes down to 2 things. You're sending them because you want to connect and share with people, or you're doing it out of obligation and guilt. So you need to decide which one you're sending for, because if you're doing it for the first reason, which is connect and share, then the task will be a lot more fun and enjoyable. However, if you're doing it out of the second reason, which is obligation and guilt, then it's going to become a drudgery. So decide, why am I doing this? Really, really ask yourself, why do I want to send out these Christmas cards to all these people? And let that be your guiding factor this holiday season with Christmas cards. And if it's connect and share, then it'll be so much more fun. And if it's not, then maybe you need to let it go. But that's a personal choice. So if you decide that, yes, I want to connect and share, I want to send that out to people this year, then rather than tell yourself all Christmas season, I got to do Christmas cards, I've got to send out Christmas cards, when am I going to get around to the Christmas cards? I want to encourage you to break the task of taking or sending out Christmas cards into smaller bite-sized pieces. I'm sure you've heard that quote, how do you eat an elephant? 1 bite at a time. Well, it's the same way with Christmas cards. 1 step at a time. And unfortunately, Christmas cards have a lot of steps to them, and that's what people don't realize when they say, I want to do Christmas cards. That sounds like 1 task. But if you stop to think about it, it's a lot of tasks. In fact, I've broken it down to about 7 or 8 tasks. First, you need to decide on the type of card you want to send out. Are you going to do just a traditional box card that says Merry Christmas and Happy New Year? Or are you going to send out maybe one with photos of your family, or maybe some travel adventures you went on this year, or some milestones in your life, like a graduation or a wedding or the birth of a baby? Or maybe you're going to do a hybrid where you send a letter with all of that in a picture in a traditional card. So decide first what you want to do. That's your first step. So break it down into small steps. One being deciding what you want to do. Then number two, find or buy or make your card. So are you going to just go to the store and pick some up on sale, or are you going to try to make them from scratch? That's an important decision, because what you decide can really factor into the time you have this holiday season. So that's step number two. Step number three, you need to find or take a photo if that's what you're going to include with your card this year. Some people, have already gone off and had their photo shoot and just waiting for them. Some people still have to set those things up. Some people need to search through the thousands of pictures on their computer, which is also very time consuming. So that's another step you need to do. Then once you've got that, you need to sign the cards or write the letter out, which, depending on how many you're sending out or how long of a letter you want to write with how much information, can be time consuming as well. Then you want to address the envelopes. You want to make sure you've got to collect all the addresses. Is everything up to date? Do you have everybody's address? Are you going to have to email them or call them or text them and get that information? Again, another time consuming activity. Finally, you have to assemble the cards, sign them, write little notes, put them in the envelope. Then you've got to make sure you've got enough stamps, or take them to the post office to be stamped, and then finally get them in the mail. Now, those are a lot of steps, right? Absolutely. And sometimes that's why people get so overwhelmed, because it is such an undertaking. It's a huge, monumentous undertaking. But I want to encourage you to just take it one step at a time. Don't look at all 8 or 9 steps, or don't just look at the large task. Break it down. And when you break it down into each individual step, I want to encourage you to put a deadline with that, and then mark that deadline in your Christmas planner on your Christmas calendar. Again, that's why we started with the Christmas calendar, because it's so critical to the rest of your Christmas prep. But go ahead and put a deadline. So step number 1, maybe you give yourself a week to decide what kind of cards you want to do. Then write that down. By the end of this week, by December 2nd, Friday, I'm going to make a decision on my card type. Once we see that in our calendar, that's not so overwhelming. That's just one thing I have to decide on by the end of the week. Then maybe by Saturday or Sunday, the 3rd or 4th, you decide, I'm going to decide whether or not I'm going to buy or make a card. Okay? That's not too overwhelming. You can handle that in 1 or 2 days, right? But give yourself those deadlines, because what happens when we don't give ourselves deadlines is we keep pushing it back and procrastinating and pushing it back until it's like 10 days before Christmas or 5 days before Christmas, and we're freaking out because the Christmas cards haven't been sent. So that adds more stress to our holiday season. So really try to break those steps down like I talked about, and then set the deadlines and make those deadlines in your calendar so you can have them and know what you've got going on. And the other thing too is, don't beat yourself up if you don't meet a deadline. It's okay. If you don't get them out before Christmas, it's okay. A lot of people are now starting to do more New Year type seasonal cards, and that's great too. But don't beat yourself up. Remember, this is to communicate and connect and to share. That's what it's about. All right, here are a few things I want you to just keep in mind to maybe make it a little bit easier as well. If your budget will allow, maybe consider, rather than going through all of those steps I talked about a few minutes earlier, maybe you use a service. But again, that's if your budget allows. And tomorrow is Cyber Monday. And so really, really good, probably a lot of good sales are going to be going on tomorrow. You can use service like Tiny Prints, Vistaprint, send out cards. They have a variety and levels of service. Maybe you just order the card, they send them to you, and you do some of the steps yourself. Or you pay a little bit extra and they address and they send them out for you. It just depends on your budget and how much money you want to spend, how many cards you're sending out. But that's something to consider, because that's one less thing on your plate. So if you're really busy and you do have the luxury of having the money to do it, I would consider maybe putting that down as an option for you. Another tip I want to encourage you to think about is to enlist help at home. If you have little ones or teenagers or spouses who can help you do one of those steps, such as address the cards or put on a stamp or assemble the cards, those are an extra pair of hands that can, speed the process up. And the thing I love about that is that, if you're sitting down there and you're working together and they're like, well, who's John Doe? It's a wonderful opportunity for you to share memories or stories about those special people in your life with your family and friends who may or may not know them. So I just want to encourage you, try not to be a lone ranger on this project and try to get your family to help you out, because it can be one less thing you have to do, but it can also be a wonderful bonding experience. The next tip I have for you is to find ways to make the process easier. So if you don't want to do traditional cards or picture cards or the hybrids or a service, why not just send Merry Christmas wishes, Happy New Year by e-card? That's becoming a very popular thing as well, and it's a lot less time consuming and a lot less money investment. I also want to think another way to make the process quicker is by using pre-made labels. I don't know about you, but I get them in the mail all the time. And I mean, they're great. So instead of having to write my name and my address 50 times up in the left upper hand corner, just stick a label on there. Or you can make your own. You can go down to Walmart, buy a set of labels, return address labels, and print them out on your computer for absolutely free. It won't take you but 5 minutes to set it up. And, if you have some ink, it'll print it out. In the same way with your address labels. Instead of handwriting all your 50 friends' addresses, go ahead and just print them through your computer. It makes it much, much quicker for you. So try to find ways to speed up the process if you can. Now, I'm always thinking about next year, and I'm thinking ahead when it comes to Christmas cards. Now is a good time to think about next year. 2 things I want you to think about for next year. 1, take advantage of the sales that are going to be coming up really soon before Christmas and after Christmas, and look for cards on sale that you can store with your Christmas supplies, so you already have those on hand and you can get started on those earlier next year. Save some money, save some time, save some effort. And then also another thing that's really a good idea, if you haven't already started one, is to create a spreadsheet of addresses. That way you can continue to add to the list as the year goes through if you make some new friends that you want to send cards to. And also just to make sure you have everybody's up to date. It's easier to go in and just change a few numbers and address streets rather than trying to do it on a piece of paper that you've written out in pen or in a book that gets very cluttered and confusing. So make use of technology, and I'm sure there's an app for addresses, and you could try one of those as well. So try to be thinking ahead for next year. Now, one question I always get about Christmas cards is, what do I do with them when Christmas is over? Now, there are some people that will tell me they keep every single Christmas card every single year. And if you're one of those people, that's great. Honestly, I try to buy Christmas cards that say at the bottom, please feel free to discard this card after 7 days. I mean, I don't expect anybody who gets a card from me to feel like they have to keep it. But there's some people who enjoy that. And if you have the space for them, that's awesome. That's really great, because there are great benefits to having the cards later on in life. But if you don't have the space for it, or you just don't have the desire, then I want to encourage you to think about some other ways that you can use those cards without just tossing them. First, you could recycle them to a charity. stjudesranch.org, and I'll put that in the comment section. stjudesranch.org accepts the fronts of greeting cards that they will use with the children at St. Jude's who make Christmas cards to raise money. So it's a great way to benefit a great cause and to help out somebody else. and to get rid of what you're no longer using. You could also do some do-it-yourself projects. You could, take the fronts of Christmas cards and make them into gift tags. You can make them into ornaments, placemats, or you could even use them to make Christmas cards for next year. So there are tons of things on Pinterest that will tell you how to do-it-yourself recycle Christmas cards. So you might want to check those out, but that's another thing. And then I'm going to give you permission to toss them if you just want to toss them. It'll be our secret. Shh, I won't tell anybody, I promise. All right, so that's hopefully a little bit of help and information to help you not be so overwhelmed by Christmas cards. Because I know personally, and I've been there, I feel your pain when it comes to the Christmas card situation. And so I'm hoping to help you not be so overwhelmed. If you have any questions, feel free to leave me a comment and let me know in the comment section below. Like I said, I will put in the link to that St. Jude's charity donation if that's what something you would like to do with your Christmas cards. But again, the key, 2 or 3 key things that I want you to take away from today is, first, decide why you're sending out Christmas cards. Get clear on that, because that will really help you know whether or not you want to send them or not. And if you do choose to send them, then break it down into small, manageable pieces. And number 3, give yourself a deadline. I promise that really will help your overwhelm with Christmas cards. So I look forward to seeing you tomorrow about the same time, 4:45 Central, and we're going to be talking about getting our meals for the holidays, whether it's a party, whether it's Christmas morning, Christmas Eve, cookie exchange, whatever it is. We're going to be talking about all the food for Christmas and how we can have that more organized and orderly so we're not so overwhelmed and stressed out. So have a great evening. Thanks for visiting, and I will look forward to seeing you again. If you need more help or more organizing tips, be sure to check me out at bygeorgeorganizing.com. All right, thanks a lot, and we'll see you next time. Bye.